advantage, topicality, the counterplan, politics disad, and then the critique. Don't worry, I'm going to repeat it right now. The Taiwan war advantage, the presidential powers advantage, T reduce, the counterplan, the politics disad, and then the security. Okay, awesome. Doesn't look like anyone's shuffling around close. Is anyone not ready? All right, splendid. Only the act can prevent an offensive threat to China that causes a war. They say zero sum. Yes, it is. They say no zero sum. Yes, it is. First is focus. Only the plan can, by reducing sales, encourages Taiwan to be able to shift to different capabilities. The U.S. is key to that. That's the Yo evidence. Second is time. China pigeonholes Taiwan with things like economic sanctions and election interference. Only forcing them to transition to a stable deterrence posture is key. That's the Lenoska evidence. Subs do matter, and only we solve it because we force them to transition to things like more of a shoot and scoot capabilities that are things like UAVs, etc. Capabilities are necessary to be able to have them shift. And the deterrence now argument, one, it assumes that there's no offensive threat from new arms sales, which their evidence doesn't assume. And second is that it doesn't talk about actual deterrence being able to win. Only our evidence describes them being able to sustainably win a war. The Gertz evidence is just aspirational thinking. Prefer Lankosa. The deterrence disad argument, it's non-unique. The invasion's likely now, and only ceding the gray zone solves risk of escalation. The signal's already been sent, and the status quo can't solve, so it's try or die for the app. Hunter and Lankosa and 18. Some argue that the gray zone could create new operational advantages for China. China has unlimited aims with Taiwan. Seeing the gray zone could enhance deterrence. Taiwan could express itself more clearly and credibly, but pursuing effective investments, Taiwan can make China pay a much higher price. The status quo forces posturing for resolve over substantive capabilities, and those that way, and the app link turns the disad. Hunziker and Lankosa in 18. The strategy of trading for resolve for capability can easily backfire. A few things have citizens collective war will and war weather in their minds, seeing their arsenal destroyed in Taipei. Defensive realism better explains China's foreign policy, which takes out their expansionism impacts. Tang in 2008, security strategy is firmly rooted in realism. China's strategy is undermined with offensive realism. Analysts reject the notion that China's offensive realist today. China has toned down revolutionary rhetoric, has stopped supporting insurgency. China's not recognized as security. China's never tried to self-restrain in international organizations and treaties. Security through cooperation has become a pillar of China's security, strategy. And the deterrence solves now arguments from 2015 doesn't answer the fact that it's unsustainable. New jet subs, etc. are all reasons why there are deterrence failures are coming now. That's the Carpenter evidence. The no war analytic. Cato is obviously awesome. All of your evidence is coming from warhawks that are supporting things like the genocide in Yemen. That's just the issues that they talk about. The no war evidence, none of it mentions the Taiwan dyad, which means you should prefer our issue-specific evidence. And secondly, of course, it just talks about random diplomatic comments that Trump makes. Of course, those don't cause war, but substantive issues like Taiwan's capabilities do. The press powers advantage. The Thrall evidence just says Congress would backfire. That doesn't answer the Ford evidence, which says that they have an incentive to take the initiative in this instance. Their evidence also would agree, and it says that taking an affirmative role in the context of arms sales is better. The plan is uniqueness for that, which means that it solves that argument. Taiwan is key. It's a legitimate issue, and that was established in Crossex. The process is necessary. That is the Stoll and Ford evidence. They say circumvention from the wall. We can fiat the establishment of the plan, and it sends a sufficient signal, and the wall's not really that big of an issue. That's Ultra Current 19. Congress can give president's authority without writing a blank check. Statutory provision explicitly withholds authorities when the item has been denied by Congress. Now, the empirically denied argument, Trump and Bush are just uniqueness for the app. All of them, we're still at war from things that Bush is doing, and all of those prove examples of why group thinking decision-making cannot effectively orchestrate policy. Now, their positive term is apples to oranges. We saw rogue executive decision-making over war-fighting issues and things like arms sales and interventions, but it turns about diplomacy and climate co-op. FYI, Trump solves none of them. He's a climate denialist, and the other foreign relations impacts are non-unique because the world has laughed at him so many different times, and staffer overturned, etc. all prove that. Now, also, there is no climate change impact. Adaptation solved. That's Shawnee 15. Over the history, there have been warm periods of temperatures exceeding the current ones. Recent increases not appear unprecedented. The IPCC estimation is failing to account for adaptive capacity of our economic development, technological change, human capital. Humans are tough and adapting. We survived ages of primitive tech. What's up? Yeah. The accident stuff doesn't assume one groupthink, which they've conceded an internal link to. It makes accidents more likely. And second, dyads around in North Korea are more likely to be able to escalate. The targeting stuff would obviously change because we believe it's a real threat. I'm kicking the partisanship stuff, which is why we read extra cards on press powers. T. First, we reduce arms sales processes by congressional approval and the object by specifying Taiwan. That includes changing the form of sales or lessening them. We need both. That's Webster's and 7. Reduces to lessen or to put into a different form. Court decisions prove that can be a suspension as long as it's tied to a permanent reduction like the plan. Waitner in 1. The verb suspend means to cease for a time with an expectation of resumption, but reduce means to diminish, reduce is merely a less radical form of suspend. Reduce means to furnish no inference to retain reduced funds. Prefer it. App innovation. They vacate debates from focusing on the sales process. No app can specify, which moves court topic controversies on how we sell. It also turns that ground because the app will be shady and vague. As a result, extra T is good and inevitable. Plan-specific mechanisms promote clash and increase net ground. Functional limits check. Substantial. DCS and FMS all balance the topic's size and focus sufficiently. Reasonability. Competing interpretations creates an uneducational model of debate that deprioritizes substance. The counterplan. Perm do both. It solves by adding multi-layered defenses of press powers while resolutions shield Congress because it doesn't make it look as both of the blue. The counterpoint doesn't solve. First, Taiwan. There's no incentive. Lobbies and war hawks in the administration can convince Trump to not follow on. Saudi Arabia debates now prove. Second, press power. It still makes Congress beholden to the president. It doesn't formally enumerate new powers to restrain the executive. That's Stoll and Ford. Absent the plan, the counterpoint is worthless as a gesture. Colin 7. Only acceptable legislation is binding on the president that forces starting new wars. Congress should not have any meaningless sense of Congress to withdrawing legislation. This is a transparent, important, worthless gesture. Only legislation is acceptable legislation with teeth that binds to obey basic consequences. Taking strong action to pass binding legislation. Forget about the consent of Congress gesture. Stopping with this bogus sense of Congress and passing a real deal. Hearings plank does not solve. Sure, Congress will get more informed, but that only the act puts a backstop on runaway executive powers that would go ignored otherwise. That's 4. The counterpoint links in that benefit. 1. All 3 of the planks magnify the time link as per the Sherman evidence, and the hearing stuff does that even more. And second, it also activates the backlash link because it brings up a sensitive issue and forces those hearings to go public. The dentist app. Economic decline doesn't cause conflict. Clarity 15. The economic trust associated with conciliatory policy drawing on 109 states while the ICT in which terminated evidence suggests rivalries were prices likely to terminate during downturns. Controlling for all main alternative explanations and confounding variables. The question of furious claiming diversionary war and arguments made peace may result from economic troubles. Trade war with China, low corporate earnings, global slowdown, and Fed tightening comparatively outweigh the impact on the economy that the debt ceiling has. Compatello in 7-1. Times like these can be especially dangerous. Market participants left unprepared, vulnerable spoilers left the U.S. and China shut stalemate. Toxic escalations to remain absent. Markets do not appear prepared. Corporate earnings undershoot expectations. The Fed cuts are coming too late to prevent longer earnings. While gold indicators like favor weakness and slowing growth. 3. Any deviations in Fed's interest rate policies could upend the stock rally. 4. U.S. debt ceiling negotiation seems unlikely. It can still sink equities, and it won't pass. The Dems in the House and GOP in the Senate. Kim 7-3. The letter goes to ignoring House Spots lacks a plan to stop dismantling the president's agendas with poison pill riders. The admin in Congress are barreling towards the fiscal palette. Bring opposition. Senate Republicans illustrate this tightrope for confronting the administration. The plan needs buy-in from Democrats to control the House, must win over Dutch GOP to avert a rebellion. McConnell indicated the CR was unacceptable. The plan's popular, though, which means it turns a disad because Congress is against arms sales. Gould in 529. Calls are mounting to block our arms sales. Bipartisan frustration focused on emergency powers, bias, congressional review. The House pursued legal action to uphold Congress's constitutional war powers and challenge Trump. The president's decision on emergency waiver will damage certain future negotiations. Several congressional interactions, several Dems aimed at barring sales. Senator Graham said, "I don't support the arms sales." The K. Versus framework. Weigh the app against the K. The links have to prove the plan is worse than the status quo. Other interpretations artificially and unfairly inflate net ground and dilute app engagement with the K. Their K proves a double turn. The politics decide deterrence decide and press powers are way more militaristic than the plan. That's a performative contradiction and a reason to reject the K. That was in cross-ex. Permutation do both. We can combine forms of analyses from multiple perspectives to synthesize the best action moving forward because reps don't shape reality. Their K doesn't apply. Context matters, and only the app avoids sweeping claims that prove reverses the error by claiming China can contribute to violence. That's Callahan. Then 5. China threat theory reproduces the danger they seek to deny the end of police and Chinese foreigners and rationally say to denounce China threat theory would be a mistake depending on certain dates. Anything can be interpreted as a threat. The purpose is not to argue that the interpretations are false, but that it's necessary to unpack the context of each perception of threat. Cross-flight defensive realism. Only we have an empirical account that balances views from both sides, which is the Tang evidence. But we still get the Taiwan advantage. It's a unique security dilemma that is likely to escalate that their evidence doesn't account for. Delpec in 12. The relationship between the U.S. and China is likely to be vexed on Taiwan. The issue of capable of sustaining nuclear conflict, although the aims of China are not known. The fact is that China is the only weapon state building up that is frequently underlined. Will China follow on the prudent policy? We're going to these are difficult and sensitive questions. Recent years show a clear deterioration of China's relationship with the West.
On the counterpoint, your Colin Schobert evidence says that soft laws have the potential for circumvention. Have you read any evidence that speaks to why Trump's would circumvent?
Yeah, we've cited examples that talk about these things. For example, the Saudi Arabia stuff.
I think there's two questions. Like one with your politics link about like authority
No,
is right.
No, I think there was just one question. Do you have any evidence that speaks to Trump's intentions? I'm willing to hear non-evidence arguments as well.
Yeah, we have evidence that speaks to Trump's intentions. So the Ford evidence describes his relationship to arms sales and how he has been systematically striking down laws to be able to increase his power more than any other president in history.
He's been striking down laws, hard laws. How does the plan solve that?
Because the plan allows for Congress to have an approval process that prevents them from being able to use their emergency powers to bypass those things.
Okay, so our counter plan avoids politics because there's no recorded votes taken to upset constituents. How does the perm avoid that?
In our opinion, votes taken is not really.
So
the
it's not
level
really a
of
perm
votes
shields the link
established.
argument, it's a we disagree with the link argument.
Well,
On politics, the
That's
Kim
not
evidence
really.
says
I
that
could
Trump
continue
is,
saying.
the Kim evidence says that Trump is walking a tightrope in the Senate and the House. Where does it say that that tightrope walk will fail?
It says that it will fail because the Democrats are trying to put poison pills in, and any that they do put in.
Where?
If the administration.
Where
gets
does it
to
say that the
House.
Democrats are actually going to put poison pills in it? It says that there's a fear of them, but where does it say they're going in?
Okay, that is what they're planning. The argument is that those
What
debates go
poison
down.
pill are they planning?
The Dems are going in to
The
try to be
plan
able
is the
to
only poison
fill
pill
in
I can come up
increased
with. On
spending
case.
on government
The
programs.
recutting of the parole and the Dormany evidence says that the plan would create deliberation. How does that overcome Republican ideology, loyalty to the presidency, or constituent interest in support of arms sales?
For all of the remaining evidence?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't read that card, but it is from your author. And it does describe that, the evidence writ large describes that historically, Congress has been pro-arms sales, right? That's the 1NC evidence that you read. This is a section, and like you could read it if you want to, but irrespective of that, the point is that if Congress would be given an approval process, our Ford evidence, Stoll evidence, and other cards.
No, your Stoll evidence and your
describe-
other evidence said it would build in a deliberation process, but our evidence says that there are things like ideology, constituencies,
Republicans
and
came out against the arms sales to Saudi Arabia. Some of them did.
some of them did.
Well, that's a
Your
sufficient
argument
amount
is
to put a
like-
backstop on irrational sales and the expansion
don't
of executive powers in
know that you have
unfair
any
ways.
evidence that says that that's true. On topicality,
That's an
the
amazing-
second part of the plan certainly meets, or the first part of the plan certainly meets, but what is the justification for including the other half of the plan?
Well, your evidence that you read in the 1NC talks about reducing the extent or size, and ours goes further on that and says lessening that would mean to put into a different form.
Does the plan
which
leave
means
the
that
possibility for future reductions through the affirmatives mechanism in place?
we don't fiat those future
But it
reductions.
sets up that mechanism?
That is the way that the plan is established, and it changes the mechanism via the enactment of the plan.